Hey everybody, Adam Tracy. Wanted to talk about the digital asset license in Seychelles. And what you have is you've got four tiers. You've got the exchange tier, minimum capital 75,000. You have the custody tier, minimum capital 75,000. You have the OTC tier, minimum capital 50,000. Then you have the investment advisory tier, minimum capital of 25,000. And it's going to take roughly 2 to 5 months to obtain the license, which is really, really good in the current environment. And you have the typical bells and whistles that come with a license like this: local presence, local director, local company, and all that. And the submission itself, as far as the license, is what you would expect. You're talking about business plan. There's a higher emphasis on technology and that and all that. But most of the time, you're getting some kind of off-the-shelf white label, which the documentation is there, so it's very easy to give them. And all in all, the regulatory environment is really lax. And that's why you see some larger KuCoin and others get licensed there, because that very reason, right? It doesn't take a lot of money to maintain the license. So what's wrong with it? Well, the problem with Seychelles is that Seychelles was blacklisted not too long ago. So you're looking at it and saying, well, how is that going to impact me? It's going to impact you with your financial partners, your FI, right? You're not going to find, right off the bat at least, a tier one bank that's going to want to deal with you. It's very, very unlikely. When you get to a certain stage, obviously any bank will assume the perceived risk, but right off the bat, you're just not going to find it in Seychelles for the crypto exchange. Now, in defense of that, you're not going to find a lot of banking options in the United States either. So is it really that bad? But what you do have is you have this sort of myriad of lower tier banks and EMIs that can fill these holes. And what's nice about Seychelles and Mauritius the same way is that that network, if you will, is broad. It's not like Vanuatu. Vanuatu is very regional. And then you see some licenses in the Caribbean. It's very regional in terms of the FI partners that will work with you. Okay. So you see a broader of different financial partners, whether it be payment rails, banking, whatever, that you can find, right? It's just not going to be Wells Fargo, is right off the bat. So that is, large the biggest impediment, but it's very easy to cut that, right? And obviously, the lower the tiers, the more you rely on EMIs. Yes, there's a greater, problems because you have all this integration stuff like that. But at the end of the day, you get what you pay for, and the investment, if you want proof of stake, you want brand equity, all these kind of things, it works out really well being in Seychelles. Now, from a customer standpoint, obviously USA is off limits, but it's ideal for emerging markets and for Asia, where you're not going to have restrictions regarding the license. You connect very well. I had a previous video about the payment service provider license, where you're going to integrate well into Africa, where there's a heavy unbanked population, but they're big on e-money systems. So there's a lot of connectivity into that. And then you can go after Europeans and stuff like that, which many have, and it will work. And at the end of the day, where you initially are licensed isn't where you necessarily wind up being licensed forever. You can justify a greater investment into a more credible license at a later date. And obviously credibility isn't necessarily just the license you get, it's the people running it, which is typically one of the bigger problems. So that is the license, kind of very high level. I think it's great. I think it's a great place to start. I think you compare it primarily with Mauritius, which the costs are roughly the same. I think, 1.5 tax, pretty good deal, but you also have to consider your audiences, who you need your FIs to be depending on your model, and you kind of from there, right? So if you have any questions regarding the Seychelles digital asset license in all its forms, check me out, adamtracy.io, and I will talk to you next time. Cheers.